This story is known as Black Market Borg Part 5 by Christopher Donleona, known as Peaceful-blu on the Short Stories subreddit. A 6-count spray of bullets, only designated for one target, are easy to follow. Anyone with a cybernetic implant can do it, which speaks to the ignorance of FP's attackers. FP doesn't realize his body went into autopilot the moment the trigger was pulled. With a single touch of his metallic hand, he pulverizes each aggressive metal casing. One by one, the bullets turn into a blanket of fine metallic powder, seemingly on impact. Undoubtedly, the shooter stands confused, rocking back and forth with the train, trying to understand what they just witnessed. From FP's perspective, it went much like playing a tap adventure in virtual reality. On instinct, he reached for the bullets, precocious in his method, and simply poked them out of the air. But in doing so, he uses an immense amount of speed and force, making quick work of something that would have definitely been detrimental to his health. As the glittering metal dust settles, FP's remaining assailants find themselves trapped, out of weapons, out of ammo, and out of options. His cohorts fell before they even had a chance to do anything, and so did he. As if to beg for mercy, they go to their knees, but not a word uttered in their own defense. They simply buckle and unceremoniously faint, accepting their fate. FP doesn't seem to notice their timely surrender as the train begins to slow. Even he himself is astounded by what just transpired. Slightly mesmerized by it all, FP doesn't move until the train stops, jerking him forward into reality again. The carnage that surrounds him is surreal, and the only thing he can think to do is leave as quickly as possible. Once the door finally opens, FP darts off the train at top speed. As he runs, he tells himself he has to get away, as fast as possible. I don't want to get caught, FP says to himself. The thought further propels him forward. He weaves through the streets and around corners at breakneck speed, driving his feet into the ground desperately, wanting to get home. On the sharpest turns, he grabs the metal posts to angle his body. He can feel it give way as he releases it from his grasp. The world seems to rattle under his soles as his body tries to tear away at the wind barrier being created around him. The way in which he runs is unrefined and frantic, violent and untamable, somewhat mindless. FP doesn't realize he'd been running for quite a while. His apartment is only a few minutes from the station, a light 10-minute walk with almost no turbulent turns. Mentally exhausted from his own frantic state, he slows to a light jog, still moving forward, leagues and bounds from his oh-so-small corner of the city. The whispering desert greets him as an old friend, desolate and full of sand. The sand constantly thinks of their own existence and lot in life, and their ability to choose the one option. Why do I always run, even in victory? FP questions himself. The moon is fully aloft, giving as much light as it can to a Borg consumed with thoughts of his own fleeting drive. He feels sullied being goaded into every situation, much like a caged animal given treats to perform, but that's not fair. He doesn't like comparing himself to creatures that are simply doing as they please. This thought crosses his mind often, but never lingers long. What comes flooding into FP's mind is the realization that any day now he'll be asked to do the impossible. But it's not like I was forced into this, FP wonders. He begins to laugh. All this was my choice. I don't even think I care about the consequences anymore. Maybe. He looks down at his titanium-littered body. Every part I got was from stitchwork. FP grits his teeth hard, and with every fiber strength he has, he kicks the desert sand surrounding him. Just like the dynamite, the sand explodes from the point of impact. Some even turns to glass from the sheer force of his kick. Across his vision, a message flashes. The convoy will be here the day after tomorrow. Be sure you get your rest, kid. Looks like you put extra security on it. The best test of your affinity will be the field. Stitchwork. P.S. Be careful. There's an unfriendly sort following you. Time received, 1 p.m. Never mind, you got him. Stitchwork. Time received, 6 p.m. FP sighs deep and heavy. I was so distracted I didn't even see this until it was too late. The cool desert air makes FP shiver a little, which unexpectedly brings a smile to his face. I guess it was worth it after all. He shivers again to the point he knows the temperature is dropping very rapidly, and that's without the cybernetic sensors. Back in his track and field days, FP would run several miles a day on a whim. Not looking out past the cold desert, he remembers why, to clear his head. However, his runs would only last about 5 miles, not the 150 or so he has to book back to the city. He takes a runner stance and yells, "On your mark, set, go." In a flat-out sprint, he begins to dash back to the city. One of FP's old habits used to get him lost when he was younger, and now that he has the vigor to run again, it rears its ugly head. When he runs, he never ever looks back. Had he done so earlier, he wouldn't have passed his apartment. If he had done it in this very instance, he would have seen the enormous dust cloud stirring up behind him. The cloud itself ballooned to a magnitude of 10. The shockwave FP left in the wake of his sprinting is the equivalent of dropping several sticks of dynamite, the fair amount of accelerant sprinkled on top. Had he looked behind him and known which direction to look before he had started sprinting, he could have used his enhanced Borg vision to clock the very convoy he was to intercept, camping some 60 or so miles from him. Had he kept running mindlessly for about 30 minutes, he would have come face to face with the heavy convoy, if only. At top speed, FP approaches the city like a ballistic missile on a mission, going even faster than before. He won't admit this out loud, but he's starting to enjoy discovering himself again. He's starting to feel like he never Borged out in the first place. It wasn't a conscious choice to do so, but he's perfectly attuned to the pulse chip in his body. If there was a bounty on his head, it would have skyrocketed the moment he started running from the train. There are times when a freak storm or natural calamity will suddenly appear and devastate everything. FP is one such calamity, though he has a good heart. He is capable of great things, especially now he doesn't have to follow the rules other than the ones he makes. The sight of the city and the thought of his warm bed is comfort FP longs for, and after several long days he is on the verge of mental collapse. At the stoop of his building he finds his friend of 11 years waiting for him. "Rob, what's up?" FP says. "What's up? What's up?" Rob shouts. "Bro, we're supposed to meet up this morning. You flaked on me. What's up? You tell me what's up." FP checks his call log. 87 missed calls from Rob. "Ah, my bad. Things have been happening," FP says, sweat dripping from his brow. "Are you sweating? Did you go for a run? You want to come up?" Rob sighs deep. "Sure." On the way up, Rob notices FP walking taller than he ever has before. Just 3 days ago, he remembers his friend was a bit depressed, not being able to feel anything with his own fingertips. He wonders what changed, but opts not to pry, as FP always afforded him the privacy when it mattered. In the back of Rob's mind, he can't help but be bewildered by FP, who isn't carrying himself as he used to. That story was the 5th part of Black Market Borg by Christopher Donleona, known as Peaceful-blu on the Short Stories subreddit. Thanks again so much for listening. We'll catch you next time.